My husband told his friends that I was just a tax write-off he married to polish his company image. I'm Madison Lancaster, 32 years old, and the story I'm about to share will show you what happens when a powerful man forgets that his insignificant wife might be the one holding secrets that could destroy his entire empire. 5 years of marriage, two beautiful children, and one devastating night at Le Bernardin changed everything. What started as our anniversary dinner ended with FBI agents in handcuffs and a $4.5 million fraud exposed to 200 shareholders. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. That fateful night began at New York's most exclusive restaurant, where I heard the words that would change everything. From the outside, we had it all. Daniel Lancaster, my husband, was the golden boy CEO of FinTech Solutions, pulling in $850,000 a year, plus bonuses that could buy a small house. Me? I was the creative one. An interior designer working freelance, making about $60,000 in a good year. Not that Daniel ever let me forget the difference. "Honey, you don't need to worry about the mortgage," he'd say at dinner parties, his hand possessively on my lower back. "That's what real careers are for." The laughter from his colleagues felt like tiny needles under my skin. At the company Christmas gala last year, he introduced me to the new investors as his beautiful homemaker. When I corrected him, "Actually, I just finished the Pemberton Hotel lobby redesign," he laughed. "She likes her little projects," he told them, as if I were a child with finger paints. The financial control was subtle at first. Joint accounts became easier if I managed them. My credit cards were simplified to additional cards on his accounts. Every purchase over $100 triggered a text. "What's this charge at Restoration Hardware? I thought we discussed unnecessary spending." 3 weeks ago, a letter arrived from Cayman National Bank, addressed to Daniel but delivered while he was at work. "Confirmation of your new corporate account setup." My stomach clenched. We didn't do business in the Caymans. When I mentioned it at dinner, his fork stopped mid-air. "Why are you opening my mail?" "It was an accident, I thought." "You thought wrong. Stop snooping through things you don't understand. International finance is complicated, Madison. That's why I handle it." But I understood more than he thought. My father had built his construction empire from nothing, and he'd taught me to read balance sheets before I could drive. The Cayman letter wasn't the first red flag. 2 months earlier, our accountant Jim had called while Daniel was golfing. "Mrs. Lancaster, I need both signatures for the trust fund reallocation. Your father's estate requires—" "What reallocation?" I'd asked. A pause. "The one Mr. Lancaster submitted last month, moving the funds to a more aggressive investment portfolio." My father had died 3 years ago, leaving me a $3 million trust fund with one stipulation. Both spouses must approve any major changes. It was his way of protecting me, even from beyond the grave. "Jim, I never signed anything." "But I have your signature right here." My hands went cold. "Email me that document. Now." The signature was close, but not mine. The M was too sharp, the Lancaster too hurried. Daniel had been practicing. When he came home that night, humming and relaxed from 18 holes, I said nothing. Instead, I started paying attention. Really paying attention. His phone, always face down now. Charges on our American Express from restaurants I'd never been to. Always lunch. Always for two. The way he'd suddenly started working late on Wednesdays, coming home smelling of perfume that wasn't mine. Chanel No. 5. Expensive, deliberate. Last week, while he showered, his phone buzzed. Assistant S with 3 heart emojis. The message preview. "Can't wait for Aspen. Thank you for the necklace, baby." Aspen. He'd told me it was a boring executive retreat that spouses couldn't attend. I screenshotted everything, emailed it to my private account, the one he didn't know existed. My father's voice echoed in my head. "Baby girl, always have your own money and your own evidence. Trust, but verify." If only I'd known how much I'd need both. Le Bernardin was Daniel's choice for our 5th anniversary. Nothing but the best for my wife, he'd said, booking the chef's table. The irony wasn't lost on me now. The best restaurant to serve me the worst betrayal. I wore the red Valentino dress he'd bought me last Christmas, the one he said made me look almost as sophisticated as the partners' wives. My wedding ring caught the candlelight as I sipped champagne, watching him check his phone for the third time. Important call, he said, standing. Be right back, beautiful. But he didn't head to the restaurant's entrance. He veered left, toward the private bar area. Something pulled me to follow. Call it intuition, or 3 years of subtle lies finally clicking into place. I stopped just behind the etched glass partition, close enough to hear everything. Daniel's voice carried over the soft jazz, confident and cruel. 5 years, boys. 5 fucking years of playing house with Madison. The sound of glasses clinking. I told you from day one, this marriage was a business investment. My hand found my phone, muscle memory opening the voice recorder app. The red button pulsed as I pressed it. Come on, Dan, someone laughed. Rick from his Yale days. She's beautiful, at least. Beautiful doesn't pay for the Tribeca penthouse. Her father's trust fund does. 3 million just sitting there, and the idiot made sure it would all go to her. So divorce her, another voice suggested. And split everything? Please. I've got a better plan. Already moved half that trust offshore. She's too busy playing designer to notice. Thinks she's decorating our dream home, when really I'm building my exit strategy in Miami. My finger stayed steady on the record button, even as my world collapsed around me. Besides, Daniel continued, his voice taking on that patronizing tone I knew so well, Madison's nowhere near my level. You should see her at company events. Like watching a community college girl try to fit in at Harvard. It's actually embarrassing. The men laughed, and I recognized another voice. Steve, his CFO, whose wife I'd comforted through her miscarriage last year. What about that assistant of yours? Rick asked. Sophia? Christ, the legs on that one. Sophia handles more than my calendar, Daniel said, and I could hear the smirk in his voice. She's been managing the Cayman accounts beautifully. 26, Columbia MBA, and knows exactly what I need. Madison thinks I'm working late Wednesdays. I'm working Sophia. More laughter. My phone showed 17 minutes of recording, 17 minutes of evidence. The best part? Daniel was drunk now, loose-lipped and arrogant. Madison actually thinks we're trying for another baby. She's tracking her ovulation while I'm getting snipped next month. Can you imagine? Another anchor to that sinking ship? When are you pulling the trigger? Steve asked. After the shareholder meeting next week. I'll play devoted husband one more time, then file papers while she's visiting her mother. By the time she gets back, I'll have moved the rest of the money. She'll get the house, mortgaged to hell, and maybe enough alimony to keep her little design hobby afloat. That's cold, even for you. It's business. She was a means to an end. Her father's money, the wholesome family image for investors, she served her purpose. Now she's just dead weight. I stopped recording at 19 minutes, more than enough. My hands weren't shaking anymore. They were steady, purposeful. 3 years of law school before I dropped out to support Daniel's career. I knew exactly what I had. I walked back to our table, each step measured, deliberate. The Valentino dress suddenly felt like armor. Daniel returned 5 minutes later, cologne not quite masking the whiskey. Sorry, baby, business never stops. He reached for my hand. I let him take it, studying his face. The strong jaw I'd once found attractive, the brown eyes I'd thought were warm. How had I missed the coldness there? You're right, I said, my voice steady as Manhattan granite. Business never stops. And neither do lies. His smile faltered. What are you talking about? I stood, picking up my champagne. Dom Perignon, 2008. $400 a bottle. You said this marriage won't last another year. Why wait? The color drained from his face. Madison, I don't know what you think you heard. I heard everything, Daniel. Every single word. I lifted the glass. Here's to your investment finally paying off. I poured the entire glass over his head, watching champagne cascade down his Armani suit. The restaurant went silent. Phones appeared, recording everything. "Let's end this joke of a marriage today," I said, loud enough for the surrounding tables to hear. I pulled off my wedding ring, the 3-carat cushion cut he'd chosen to show his success, and dropped it in his champagne flute. "Consider that my resignation as your prop." I walked out, my heels clicking against marble, leaving him dripping and speechless. The valet already had my car waiting. I'd texted him during my walk back to the table. My phone buzzed as I slid into the driver's seat. Marcus Smith, Daniel's CFO. "Mrs. Lancaster, we need to talk urgently. It's about your father's money. Daniel doesn't know I know, but I can't stay silent anymore." Everything was about to change. If you're following this story, please like and comment below. What would you do in my position? Confront immediately or plan carefully? Most people in my situation would crumble, but that text from the CFO changed everything. Don't go anywhere, because what Marcus revealed was more shocking than the humiliation I'd just endured. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what happens next. And if you know someone who needs to hear this story, please share it with them. Now, let me tell you about the midnight meeting that exposed a fraud bigger than I'd imagined. Marcus wanted to meet at an all-night diner in Queens, far from Manhattan's financial district. When I arrived at 1 a.m., he was hunched over coffee in the back booth, looking like he hadn't slept in weeks. "Mrs. Lancaster?" He stood, respectful despite everything. "I'm sorry about what happened tonight. The restaurant, I mean. Rick posted videos in our group chat." "You were there?" "No, but I've been watching Daniel for 6 months. What he's doing, it's not just wrong, it's criminal." Marcus pulled out a tablet, encrypted and password protected. "I'm putting my career on the line here. I have 2 kids, a mortgage, but I also have a conscience." The screen showed wire transfers, dozens of them. My trust fund account number at the top, money flowing out like water through a broken dam. $2.3 million, Marcus said quietly, transferred to shell companies in the Cayman Islands over the past 18 months. The signatures are forged. The board doesn't know. The SEC doesn't know. How? Sophia, she's not just his assistant. She has a background in financial crimes, did time for fraud in Florida under a different name. Sophie Martinez. Daniel hired her specifically for this. My stomach turned. The Wednesday nights. They're not just sleeping together. They're building a parallel company using your money and investor funds. These fake invoices? He swiped through documents. Consulting fees for companies that don't exist. Services never rendered. Why tell me now? Marcus met my eyes. Because yesterday, I found something worse. Daniel took out a $3 million life insurance policy on you 6 months ago. You're going to Aspen next week, right? He said it was a second honeymoon. Mrs. Lancaster, he only booked 1 return ticket. By 3 a.m., I was in Sarah Mitchell's home office. Sarah and I had been study partners at Columbia Law before I dropped out. Now she was Manhattan's most feared divorce attorney, and more importantly, my friend. She listened to the recording twice, reviewed Marcus's documents, then leaned back in her leather chair. "Madison, this isn't just divorce territory. This is federal crime." "How bad?" "Wire fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy to commit fraud, forgery, and given that life insurance policy, potentially conspiracy to commit murder." She pulled up her contacts. "I know someone at the FBI Financial Crimes Unit and another at the SEC. I don't want to overreact." "Overreact?" Sarah's voice sharpened. "Madison, he stole $2.3 million and might be planning to kill you. We're underreacting if anything." She made 3 calls, even at that ungodly hour. By dawn, we had a plan. First, you pretend nothing happened. Apologize for the restaurant scene, say you were emotional, possibly hormonal. Let him think you're backing down. Sarah's fingers flew across her keyboard. Second, we get a forensic accounting team on this immediately. My firm uses Kellogg Associates. They've testified in federal cases. What about the police? FBI first. This crosses state lines, involves financial institutions. It's their jurisdiction. Agent Jennifer Chen will contact you tomorrow. You'll wear a wire, gather more evidence. I can't. You can. You're stronger than Daniel thinks. That's his weakness, underestimating you. Sarah printed documents. Sign these. They authorize me to act on your behalf and freeze any joint accounts the moment we file. When do we file? After the shareholder meeting. Let him hang himself publicly. 200 witnesses, Madison. He won't be able to spin that. I signed everything, my signature steady and sure. The next 3 weeks required Oscar-worthy acting. I returned home the morning after Le Bernardin with apology croissants and tears that weren't entirely fake. Daniel, I'm so sorry. I had too much champagne, and when you were gone so long, I got insecure. I touched his arm, felt him relax. Maybe it's hormones. You know I've been trying to get pregnant. He pulled me close, and I fought not to recoil. Baby, I understand. I shouldn't have taken that call. Let's forget it happened. While he played forgiving husband, I played devoted wife, and I documented everything. Sarah had given me a recording app that looked like a period tracker, legal in New York, one-party consent state. Every conversation in our house was captured. Daniel's home office calls to Sophia, discussing moving the remaining assets and keeping Madison distracted. The forensic accountants worked remotely, accessing everything through the credentials Marcus provided. They found more. Another million siphoned from investor funds, hidden in cryptocurrency accounts. Tuesday night, while Daniel slept off his scotch, I photographed documents in his safe. The combination hadn't changed since our wedding day. 09, 14 to 19. So sentimental. Inside, contracts with Sophia's real signature, the life insurance policy I'd never seen, and most damning, a property deed in Miami, a $4 million penthouse purchased with my father's money, titled only in Daniel's name. The final piece came Thursday. Daniel left his laptop open while showering. His email to Sophia sent that morning. After Aspen, everything changes. Accident on the slopes, grieving widower, nobody questions. The insurance plus remaining trust sets us for life. I forwarded it to my secure email, to Sarah, to the FBI. 3 days until the shareholder meeting. 3 days to pretend I didn't know my husband was planning to murder me. Friday morning changed everything. Daniel was at the office when I found his browser history. He'd forgotten to use incognito mode. The searches made my blood freeze. Accidental death skiing statistics. How long before life insurance pays out accidental death? Avalanche zones, Aspen, Colorado. How to induce altitude sickness. Widow remarry timeline legal implications. But the last search stopped my heart. Custody rights father after mother's death. Our children, Emma, 4, James, 2. He wasn't just planning to kill me. He was planning to take our babies. I called Sarah immediately. We can't wait until after Aspen. The shareholder meeting is in 5 days. He's researching custody rights. If something happens to me, he gets the kids and their trust funds from my father. Another $2 million. Sarah's silence stretched. Then, the FBI can't arrest him on Google searches. We need him to take concrete action. He booked the Aspen tickets. One way for me. I'm calling Agent Chen. This accelerates everything. Can you get the kids somewhere safe? My mother's in Boston. Send them tomorrow. Tell Daniel it's a grandparent weekend. Madison, we're moving the timeline. The shareholder meeting is Tuesday. Can you hold it together until then? I looked at my children's photos on the mantel. Emma's gap-toothed smile. James's chubby hands. I'll do whatever it takes. That afternoon, Daniel came home with roses and champagne. For my beautiful wife. Aspen's going to be magical, baby, just the two of us, like our honeymoon. I smiled, accepted the flowers, noted the thorns. I can't wait, honey. It'll be unforgettable. He had no idea how right I was. The shareholder meeting would be in 4 days. His arrest would be in 5. Marcus took the biggest risk, reaching out to board members he trusted. Richard Blackwood, the senior partner who'd mentored Daniel, was the first to respond. "I've had concerns," Richard admitted over secure phone. "Discrepancies in the quarterly reports. Daniel always had explanations, but there's $3.3 million missing," Marcus told him. "I have proof." By Sunday, 3 board members knew. They agreed to let Tuesday's meeting proceed as planned, but security would be doubled, and they'd be ready. Agent Jennifer Chen met me at Sarah's office Monday morning. "Mrs. Lancaster, we have enough for federal charges, but a confession would seal it. Are you willing to wear a wire? At the meeting? And before? Tonight? At dinner? Get him talking about Aspen, about the money. You're an innocent wife excited about a romantic trip. Can you do that?" The wire was tiny, taped between my breasts. "Just be natural," Agent Chen said. "We'll have agents nearby." That evening, Sophia sent Daniel a text while we ate dinner. "Baby, is she still going to Aspen? Everything's arranged on my end." Daniel replied quickly, thinking I was checking on the kids with my mom. I saw it all in the mirror behind him. "Who was that, honey?" I asked innocently. "Just work stuff. Confirming meetings while we're gone." He reached for my hand. "I want this trip to be perfect. A new beginning for us." "Daniel," I said, letting vulnerability creep in. "You've been distant lately. Is there someone else?" "What? No. Madison, you're everything to me." The lie rolled off his tongue like honey. "Why would you even think that?" "The late nights, the Cayman account." His grip tightened. "I told you not to worry about that. It's just business restructuring. Trust me." Trust. From the man planning my murder. Tuesday morning, 6 a.m. The shareholder meeting was at 2 p.m. I stood in my closet, selecting armor disguised as outfit, a black Chanel suit my mother had given me, the one that made me look like I belonged in a boardroom. Daniel was in the shower, singing. Actually singing. Today, he thought, was his triumph. The devoted husband supporting his company at the annual meeting, while secretly celebrating the fortune he'd stolen. Sarah called. "The FBI will have 12 agents there. 4 in the room, 8 outside. The moment you finish presenting, they move in." "The presentation's ready?" "Loaded on the USB. 40 slides of evidence. Financial records, emails, recordings. It'll project on the main screen. Once you start, he can't stop you without looking guilty." "What if he runs?" "Security's been briefed. Nobody leaves that room." Daniel emerged from the bathroom, toweling his hair. "You look beautiful. Planning to steal my spotlight?" "Just supporting my successful husband," I said, kissing his cheek. It took everything not to pull away. "Actually, I prepared a few words about the company's vision. You know, the supportive wife angle investors love." His eyes lit up. "That's perfect. Shows stability, family values. You're brilliant, baby." If only he knew. I spent the morning practicing my presentation one last time. Calm, professional, devastating. Each slide was a nail in his coffin, arranged for maximum impact. At noon, Marcus texted, "All board members are aware. They'll let you speak without interruption." At 1 p.m., Daniel presented me with a gift. For my beautiful wife, a $50,000 Cartier necklace. "Wear it today. I want everyone to see how much I treasure you." I clasped it on, thinking, blood diamonds. Bought with blood money. How fitting. "Ready?" he asked, offering his arm. "Ready," I said, taking it. The ride to the Four Seasons was surreal. Daniel held my hand, thumb stroking my palm, playing the devoted husband while texting Sophia with his other hand. "After today, everything changes," he said, not realizing I could see his screen in the window's reflection. "Tomorrow, Aspen. Next week, our fresh start." "I found a beautiful property in Miami," I said casually, "for winter vacations." His hand stilled. "Miami? How did you—" "Oh, just browsing online. Wouldn't it be nice to have a place there? Maybe, we'll see. His jaw tightened. After we handle some financial restructuring. The irony was delicious. He had no idea I'd already seen the deed to his secret penthouse. As we pulled up to the hotel, Sophia stood by the entrance in a red dress that screamed mistress. Daniel's eyes lingered too long. "Your assistant's here?" I asked innocently. "She's taking notes for the meeting. Very thorough." "I'm sure she is." Inside, the ballroom was already filling. 200 shareholders, 3 financial reporters, and scattered throughout. FBI agents in expensive suits, blending perfectly with the Wall Street crowd. Daniel guided me to the head table, his hand possessively on my back. "Smile, baby. Show them the power couple we are." Richard Blackwood approached. "Daniel, Madison, lovely to see you both." "Richard," Daniel shook his hand enthusiastically. "Ready for some exciting numbers?" "Oh, I think we'll all find today's revelations quite exciting," Richard said, his eyes meeting mine briefly. Daniel missed the undertone, already scanning the room for important investors to schmooze. 20 minutes until we start," he told me. "I'll introduce you after my presentation. Keep it short and sweet, yeah? 2-3 minutes max." "Don't worry," I assured him. "I know exactly what to say." 2 o'clock. Daniel took the podium, confidence radiating from every gesture. Behind him, the massive screen displayed the company logo. In my purse, the USB drive waited. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to FinTech Solutions' annual shareholder meeting." His voice boomed through the speakers. "This year marks our 5th consecutive year of growth, and I'm proud to say we've exceeded every projection." I sat at the head table, counting FBI agents. Jennifer Chen, dressed as a reporter in the 3rd row, 2 by each exit. The others scattered strategically. Daniel presented his fabricated numbers for 30 minutes. Revenue up 40%, costs down 15%, lies wrapped in PowerPoint slides and false confidence. Several board members shifted uncomfortably, knowing what was coming. "Before we move to Q&A," Daniel announced, "I want to introduce someone special. My wife, Madison, has prepared a few words about our company's vision and values. She's been my rock, my support system, and the reason I can dedicate myself fully to this company's success." Applause. I stood, smoothing my skirt, feeling the wire against my skin, the weight of truth in my purse. "Please, baby, come share your thoughts." I walked to the podium, kissed his cheek for the cameras. He whispered, "Remember, short and sweet." "Of course, darling." I took the microphone, looked out at 200 faces and smiled. "Thank you, Daniel. That was quite a presentation. Numbers, projections, growth." I paused, inserting the USB. "But I believe shareholders deserve complete transparency." The first slide appeared behind me. "So let's talk about the real numbers." Daniel's face went white. He stepped toward me. "Madison, what—" "Please, honey, let me finish. After all, you always say I don't understand complex finances. Let me show you what I've learned. This is it. The moment everything changes." 200 people are watching. My husband's face is draining of color, and the FBI agents are moving into position. Have you ever had a moment where your entire life led to one defining stand? Comment justice if you believe liars and thieves should face consequences. If you or someone you know is being financially manipulated, please share this story. It might save someone's life, literally. Subscribe now because what happens in the next few minutes will show you exactly what happens when a woman stops being a victim and becomes a warrior. "Thank you all for being here," I began, my voice steady as steel. "As Daniel's wife, I believe in complete transparency. So let's start with the truth about our company's financial health." Click. The first slide, FinTech Solutions Real Balance Sheet. This is your actual financial position, not the fiction my husband just presented. Gasps rippled through the room. Daniel lunged for the laptop. Security stepped forward, blocking him. "Madison, stop this," his mask slipping. "Why? You said this marriage was a joke. Let's show everyone the punchline. Click. Next slide. Wire transfers. Over the past 18 months, $2.3 million has been transferred from my trust fund to accounts in the Cayman Islands. The room erupted. Shareholders on their feet, voices rising. Daniel's face went from white to red. These are fake! She's having a breakdown. Click. Here are the forged signatures. My real signature on the left, the forgeries on the right. Notice the difference? Richard Blackwood stood. Daniel, explain this, now. She's crazy. This is a setup. I remained calm. If I'm crazy, you won't mind when the FBI verifies these documents? I looked directly at Agent Chen. I believe we have federal investigators here who can authenticate everything. Daniel's eyes darted to the exits. Security had already blocked them. But wait, I continued. There's more. Click. The screen showed emails between Daniel and Sophia. My husband has been working with his assistant, who, fun fact, is a convicted fraudster operating under an alias, to embezzle your investment funds. Sophia stood to run. 2 agents intercepted her before she reached the aisle. $3.3 million, I announced, stolen from this company, from you. The room was chaos, but I wasn't done. Not even close. Now let's discuss something more personal. My finger hovered over the laptop. Some of you might have seen videos from Le Bernardin last week. My emotional outburst. Let me provide context. Click. The audio filled the ballroom through the speaker system. Daniel's voice, clear and damning. This marriage was a business investment. She's nowhere near my level. Her father's trust fund. $3 million just sitting there. 200 people heard my husband call me a tax write-off. Heard him laugh about his affair. Heard him detail his fraud. That's not me, Daniel shouted desperately. It's AI, deep fake. Time-stamped, I interrupted. Verified by forensic audio analysis. Would you like to see the report? Click. The analysis appeared on screen. Authenticated. Undeniable. A shareholder in the front row stood. Mr. Lancaster, you've stolen from your wife and from us? I want my investment back, another shouted. Criminal, came from the back. Click. The next slide showed the Miami penthouse. This property was purchased with stolen funds, $4 million, title in Daniel's name only. Then the insurance policy. 6 months ago, my husband took out a $3 million life insurance policy on me, without my knowledge. Click. These are his Google searches from 3 days ago. The searches appeared, each one more damning. The room went silent as they read about accidental death skiing and avalanche zones. A woman gasped. He was going to kill you? Our Aspen trip is tomorrow, I said simply. He booked 1 return ticket. Daniel's legs gave out. He gripped the table. Madison, please. Oh, I'm not done. Click. The screen showed Sophia's real identity. Sophie Martinez, convicted of fraud in Florida 2019, currently violating parole by engaging in financial crimes. Daniel found his voice, desperation making him reckless. This is entrapment. My wife is clearly having a mental breakdown. She's been unstable since her father died. Unstable? I pulled out my phone. Let's see what you texted Sophia this morning. I connected my phone to the presentation system. The text appeared on screen. After tomorrow, the Madison problem is solved. Skiing accident, tragic but believable. Insurance pays out in 30 days. The room exploded. Someone shouted, "Call the police." Already here, Agent Chen announced, standing and showing her badge. FBI Financial Crimes Division. Mr. Lancaster, Ms. Martinez, please remain where you are. Daniel made one last attempt, rushing toward me. You vindictive bitch! You've destroyed everything! Marcus and Richard stepped between us. No, Daniel, Marcus said firmly. You destroyed everything. We have the forensic accounting reports, every transaction traced. Daniel turned to the crowd, wild-eyed. She's setting me up! She's the one who moved the money. Check the accounts. She had access. Actually, I said calmly, I haven't had access to our accounts in 2 years. You removed me, remember? For my own protection, you said. Click. The screen showed the bank's authorization forms. Your signature, dated January 2023. Sophia cracked first. This wasn't supposed to happen. You promised no one would find out. She turned to the agents. I'll testify. I have recordings, documents. He made me do it. Shut up, Daniel roared. No, let her talk, Agent Chen said, nodding to her team. Ms. Martinez, you have the right to remain silent. As they read Sophia her rights, Daniel stood frozen, watching his carefully constructed world crumble. The Harvard MBA, the CEO title, the power, all evaporating in front of 200 witnesses and 3 news cameras. Agent Chen approached Daniel with measured steps, 2 other agents flanking her. Daniel Lancaster, you're under arrest for wire fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy to commit fraud, forgery, and conspiracy to commit murder. Murder? You have the right to remain silent. Her voice carried through the silent ballroom. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. The cameras captured everything. Bloomberg's reporter was already live tweeting. CNBC had broken into regular programming. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you. The handcuffs clicked. The sound echoed through the ballroom, final and damning. Do you understand these rights as they have been read to you? Daniel's eyes found mine across the room. For the first time in our marriage, I saw him clearly. Not the successful CEO, not the charming husband, but a small, desperate man who'd built his empire on lies and theft. Madison, he pleaded. The children. Think of our children. I am, I replied. They deserve better than a father who would murder their mother for money. 2 more agents approached Sophia, who was sobbing dramatically. It was all his idea. I have proof. Check my apartment. There's a safe with everything. We'll be checking everything, Agent Chen assured her, as the cuffs went on Sophia's wrists, too. The room erupted in chaos. Shareholders demanding answers, reporters shouting questions, cameras flashing like strobe lights. Through it all, I stood calm at the podium, watching justice finally arrive. Richard Blackwood approached the microphone. This meeting is adjourned. The board will convene an emergency session. All assets are frozen pending federal investigation. As they led Daniel past me, he stopped. You've ruined me. No, Daniel, you ruined yourself. I just showed everyone who you really are. The agents paused, allowing Daniel one last moment. His expensive suit was wrinkled, his perfect hair disheveled, the golden boy facade completely shattered. Everything I did was for us, he said, voice breaking. For our family. No. I stepped closer, my voice clear and strong. Everything you did was for you. The affairs, the theft, planning my murder, that wasn't for our family. That was greed. You were never supposed to find out. That's the problem, Daniel. You thought I was too stupid, too beneath your level to figure it out. I pulled off the Cartier necklace he'd given me that morning, holding it out. Here, you'll need this for your legal fees. He couldn't take it. His hands were cuffed behind his back. The necklace fell to the floor, diamonds scattering across marble. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone. You called me a joke, I continued, loud enough for everyone to hear. Said I was nowhere near your level. You were right. I'm so far above your level you couldn't even see me coming. Several people started clapping, then more. Soon, half the room was applauding. Board members who'd suspected something was wrong, employees who'd been bullied, investors who'd been lied to. Daniel's face crumbled. The man who'd stood at this same podium 30 minutes ago, commanding the room with false confidence, was gone. In his place stood a criminal, exposed and defeated. Take him away, Agent Chen instructed. As they led him out, Daniel turned back one last time. The children will be raised to understand that actions have consequences, that lies destroy lives, that stealing is wrong, whether it's a candy bar or $3 million. The doors closed behind him. I'd never see him as a free man again. Within 24 hours, the dominoes fell with spectacular precision. Every news outlet led with the story. CEO arrested at shareholder meeting. Wife exposes million-dollar fraud. Sarah called me from the courthouse. Federal judge approved freezing all assets. Every account, property, investment, all locked down pending investigation. The Miami penthouse? Seized. The cars, the boat he bought last month, his cryptocurrency wallets, everything. The FBI found an additional $800,000 in hidden accounts. The numbers were staggering. Beyond the $2.3 million stolen from my trust, forensic accountants discovered he'd embezzled $1.8 million from company funds through fake consulting contracts. Total theft? 4.1 million. The charges? I asked. 15 counts of wire fraud, each carrying up to 20 years. Conspiracy to commit murder. That's another 20. Embezzlement, forgery, money laundering. Madison, he's looking at life in prison. The company board met that evening. Richard Blackwood called personally. Daniel's been terminated, effective immediately. All stock options revoked. His entire compensation package for the last 2 years is being clawed back. That's another $3.2 million he'll owe. What about the company? We'll survive. Insurance will cover some losses. And Madison? The board voted unanimously. You'll receive a settlement for the damage to your reputation and the attempted fraud. $2 million. I hadn't asked for it, but I wouldn't refuse it. That money would secure my children's future. Marcus was promoted to CEO within 48 hours. His first act was establishing new financial controls. His second was sending me a message. You saved this company. We won't forget. The justice system moved faster than I'd expected. Daniel's assets, frozen. His freedom, gone. His reputation, destroyed. In less than a day, he'd gone from penthouse to prison cell. The divorce was the easiest part. Sarah had filed the moment Daniel was arrested, and with criminal charges pending, no judge would side with him. 60 days, Sarah announced 6 weeks later. Fastest divorce I've ever handled. You get everything. The house, full custody, no visitation until he completes anger management and psychological evaluation. If he ever gets out, when he gets out in 15 to 20 years, your kids will be adults. They'll decide if they want him in their lives. The custody ruling was unanimous. The judge, a grandmother herself, was particularly moved by the Google searches about custody after mother's death. Mr. Lancaster shows a callous disregard not only for his wife's life, but for his children's emotional well-being, she stated. Sole custody to Mrs. Lancaster. Supervised visitation only, if and when Mr. Lancaster is released. The financial settlement was even better. The prenup Daniel had insisted on? Void due to fraud. I received the $2.3 million recovered from my trust, $2.2 million in damages, the house, mortgage-free after selling his cars, $8,000 monthly child support from his frozen assets, full ownership of my design business. The restraining order was permanent. He couldn't come within 500 feet of me or the children, couldn't contact us except through lawyers. Emma asked about him once. Why doesn't Daddy come home anymore? Daddy made some bad choices, I explained gently. He has to go away to understand why hurting people is wrong. Did he hurt you, Mommy? He tried to, but Mommy was stronger than he thought. James was too young to understand. He'd grow up knowing only that his mother fought for them, protected them, chose their safety over a toxic marriage. Sophia Martinez, or Sophie, as she'd preferred, crumbled faster than a house of cards. Her lawyer negotiated a plea deal within a week. 5 years federal prison, Agent Chen informed me. She gave us everything, recordings of Daniel planning the fraud, documents he thought he'd destroyed, even video of him practicing my signature. 5 years seems light. She was small fish. Daniel was the mastermind. Plus, she's being deported after serving her time. Her visa was obtained fraudulently, another crime Daniel facilitated. The mugshot went viral within hours. The New York Post ran it with the headline, "From Mistress to Mess, CEO's Side Piece, Sentenced in Million-Dollar Fraud." The ripple effects hit Daniel's inner circle hard. Steve, his CFO buddy who'd laughed about my community college demeanor, was investigated by the SEC. While not criminally charged, he resigned in disgrace when emails surfaced showing he'd suspected fraud but stayed silent. Rick from Yale, Daniel's drinking buddy, lost his biggest client when they learned he'd known about the affair and said nothing. "If he'll cover for that," the client said publicly, "what else is he hiding?" 3 other executives who'd benefited from Daniel's fraudulent contracts were terminated. One faced criminal charges for accepting bribes. The company's stock initially dropped 30%, but Marcus's transparent leadership restored confidence. Within 6 months, fintech solutions had recovered, with new investors appreciating the cleaned-up governance. "Your husband created a culture of corruption," Richard Blackwood told me at a charity event months later. "You didn't just save yourself, you saved the company." The justice was poetic. Everyone who'd participated in or enabled Daniel's crimes faced consequences. The boys' club that had laughed at my humiliation was disbanded, their reputations permanently stained by association with federal crime. 6 months after that explosive shareholder meeting, my life was unrecognizable in the best possible way. Lancaster Interior Design had 12 employees and a waiting list of clients. Turns out, being the woman who exposed a multi-million-dollar fraud gave me credibility I'd never had as Daniel's wife. My first major contract? Redesigning the FinTech Solutions headquarters. Marcus insisted on paying full market rate. "You've earned it," he said. "Besides, we need to erase every trace of Daniel from this place." I met Christopher at a sustainable architecture conference. He was presenting on eco-friendly urban design. I was speaking about trauma-informed spaces for domestic violence shelters. He approached me after my talk. "Your presentation was powerful," he said, then added quietly, "I followed your story. You're incredibly brave." He didn't see me as a victim or a tabloid headline. He saw me as a professional, an equal, a woman who'd fought for her worth. Our first date was coffee that turned into a 6-hour conversation about everything from sustainable materials to raising resilient children. The Madison Recovery Foundation launched 3 months later, funded by the settlement money. We provided legal and financial resources for women experiencing economic abuse. In our first month, we helped 17 women freeze joint accounts before their husbands could empty them. Speaking engagements came weekly: law schools, women's conferences, financial literacy seminars. My story had become a cautionary tale and an inspiration. "I spent 5 years being told I was beneath someone's level," I told a crowd at Columbia Law. "Turns out when you stop believing the lies others tell about your worth, you discover your real power." The woman who'd once been introduced as a homemaker was now CEO Madison Lancaster, featured in Forbes's Women Who Rebuilt Their Empires issue. A year after his arrest, a letter arrived from federal prison. Daniel's handwriting, once so confident on million-dollar contracts, now shaky and desperate. "Madison, I lost everything. My freedom, my career, my children. You were everything I had, and I threw it away for greed and ego. I see that now. The therapy here has made me understand what I did to you, to us. I'm sorry. I know it means nothing now, but I'm sorry. Please, just one photo of the kids. Just one. Daniel." I didn't reply. Instead, I framed the letter and hung it in my office, not from cruelty, but as a reminder. A reminder of what I'd survived, what I'd overcome, what I'd never accept again. The red flags had been there from the beginning. The casual dismissals of my career, the jokes about my intelligence, the financial control disguised as protection, the isolation from friends who might have warned me. I'd ignored them all, convinced that love meant tolerating disrespect, that marriage meant accepting whatever crumbs of affection he offered between insults. Never again. Now I teach other women to recognize the signs. When someone constantly reminds you they earn more. when your accomplishments are minimized as hobbies, when financial decisions are made without your input, when you're introduced by your relationship, not your name, when they joke about you to others but claim you're too sensitive. These aren't quirks, they're warnings. Daniel thought he was building an empire on my father's foundation. Instead, he built a prison with his own lies. Every forged signature was a bar. Every stolen dollar was a lock. Every affair was another year on his sentence. He called our marriage a joke. Turns out he was right. The joke was on him. If you're listening to this story thinking that could never be me, I need you to know, I thought the same thing. I had a law degree from Columbia. I came from money. I thought I was too smart, too educated, too privileged to be a victim of financial abuse. I was wrong. Economic abuse affects 1 in 4 women, crossing every social, racial, and educational boundary. It's not about intelligence, it's about control. And controllers are expert at making you doubt your own worth until you believe you deserve the cage they've built. The signs are subtle at first. Let me handle the finances. You focus on making our home beautiful. Why do you need your own account? Don't you trust me? Your little business is cute, but my career is what really matters. Then they escalate. Hidden debts in your name, forged signatures, assets disappearing. And by the time you realize what's happening, they've convinced you that you can't survive without them. You can. You will. You're stronger than they've made you believe. If you recognize yourself in my story, please know. You deserve respect. You deserve transparency. You deserve a partner, not a prison guard. Document everything. Tell someone you trust. Contact a domestic violence hotline. Financial abuse is abuse. Build your escape route carefully, safely, legally. Don't confront them alone. Don't try to fix them. Don't believe their promises to change. Protect yourself and your children first. My story ended with FBI agents and millions recovered. Yours might be quieter, a secret bank account, a divorce lawyer, a fresh start in a new city. There's no shame in any path to freedom. You are not crazy. You are not overreacting. You are not alone. You are enough, exactly as you are. Thank you for listening to my story. If this resonated with you, please subscribe and ring the notification bell. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they deserve respect and real love. Comment below. Have you recognized red flags in your own relationships? Remember, you don't have to endure toxicity for duty or keeping peace. You deserve a partner who sees your worth, not one who calculates your value. I'm Madison Lancaster, and this is how I took back my power. What's your story? How will you reclaim yours? You're stronger than you know.